Hey, what's up, creators? It is November the 14th, 2023. Welcome to our little coaching session. Hopefully, G-Webs will drop in here shortly, maybe. But I was up, I was around, and realized I had the power to kick this thing off and make it happen. So um, I don't know. He may be taking a nap. Who knows? But I actually promoted this. I actually put it out there. So being that I had the power, wanted to kick it off, and yeah, I don't have access to everything, but I know that the topic was Q&A and prep list for 2024 today, in regards to SHOT Show. So if you're out there, if you are planning that SHOT Show trip, and hopefully you have already started to make some preparations, then be sure to drop some drop some comments, drop some questions and everything out there in that live chat. If you are taking participating, I should say, in replay on any of the channels that this is being broadcast to, you can always participate, ask questions, comment, and stuff like that down below. Real quick out there, we've got, and I'm not real sure, channel member for who, as I'm seeing this on the stream at Yard for G-Webs, but she fires out there with a member chat popping in early. Have a great show. Thank you, She Fires. And then we've got Gary with the member chat out there as well, uh, saying good morning to everybody. Wes is out there, MC Ghost. So, my take on SHOT Show, I'm just going to jump in and get started. If G-Web shows up, cool. We'll get him up to speed. If not, I'm going to run this like I would normally run one of my streams, which is we're going to go about an hour and we're going to pull the plug. Um, so, starting out, you got to make the decision. You've got to understand, I think, as a creator, that um, I hear it all the time, and it's aggravating to no end when somebody uses the word wish. Wish I could go to SHOT Show. Well, you can wish upon a star, and you could wish to be an astronaut, and you could wish to live on Uranus, and whatever. But going to SHOT Show is a reality that you can actually freaking make happen. So quit wishing and get off your butt and make it happen. And that's a hard truth. It's one of them things that um, it's a bit aggressive for me to put it like that, but you don't know until you go to shot. And actually, it's this is kind of fresh in my mind because I had this conversation actually with a creator last night, and that creator was asking, I don't know how, how do you, get money from industry people, and you do this and you do that, and how do you get, and it's like you have to go to these events, be it shot show or whatever, but there is a certain amount of instant clout, instant credibility, instant validation that you're going to get as a creator, no matter your size. 1,000 subscribers, 5,000 subscribers, 20,000 subscribers, 100,000 subscribers. It doesn't matter. How many times do we see channels that have several 100,000 subscribers, right? And we're like, who is this person? Like, never heard of this channel before. Well, there's a reason. Is they have no authority, they have no clout, they're virtually unrecognizable because they live on their own little island. They don't go to events. They don't have any relationships with the industry, with creators, with anybody. And getting out in the world is part of how you make that happen. So, um, the industry, from the industry side of things anyway, um, they understand, because not only do they have their booth space they got to pay for, their booth itself, they've got to fly out employees. They've got to put those employees up. They've got to feed those employees. They've got, plus their employees' salaries, of course, but they've got the costs associated with getting those employees, right? Getting people from that company to shot. So they understand what it takes to get the shot or any event, but we're specifically talking shot today. So when you walk into that booth as a media person, they immediately understand that you are in Vegas. You traveled to Vegas, you paid to get there, um, you, you know, got the hotel, you got the flight, you got fuel expenses, potentially the rental car, the food. They get that. They understand you've got skin in the game, and it automatically gives you a leg up on anybody else that's out there doing content creation. So it's very important, and then especially if you do any kind of video production. Now, I don't lean heavily into making videos at SHOT Show. To me, SHOT Show is more for the networking and um, starting relationships, trying to build those relationships and getting commitments for the future. That's sort of how I work it. Of course, I do a few videos, and I think pretty much every creator that goes at least does a few. But my point being, and especially if you're smaller, if you go and you do a few videos and you put out videos where you were at SHOT, that also extends that clout. It extends that authority, not just to the industry people that may be there, in front of you at SHOT, but then, viewership to industry people that may run across your content later on, whatever the case may be, that you've got a matter of record that you was there, right? Now, backing up a little bit, Ghost out there, he says, "Good morning." He said, "What is SHOT Show?" I don't like needles. Yeah, that's where you go to get the jab, right? SHOT Show. Um, SHOT Show is shooting, hunting, outdoor trade show. And I know that Ghost was being funny, but just to back up a second, maybe there's somebody out there that doesn't know what SHOT Show is. But SHOT Show is basically the largest firearm outdoor industry trade show, I guess at least in the United States, probably, right? Been going on for a many, many, many years. That's where all the business gets done and the wheeling and dealing to set up um, the year for those folks basically in the industry. So it happens every January in Las Vegas, pretty steadily. Been in Las Vegas for the last, oh, what, decade? G Webs could tell us if he was here. But I haven't been going nearly as long enough. I've been going since, what, 17 or 18, I guess. G Webs way, way, way longer than that. So, um, yeah, the first step, getting back to what I was saying just a second ago, I mean, the first step is to make it happen. Quit making excuses, quit whining, and make it happen. If you've got relationships with gun shops, if you've got relationships with other creator colleagues, if you've got relationships with people in the industry, then there are ways not only for you to be able to get into SHOT Show as media, there are ways for you to, um, what is the word, to be able to pay for that, right? To be able to finance that, at least for a day or two. Now, with SHOT Show, it's a 4-day event. Floor show Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, with a range day on Monday. If you are only able to go for a couple of days, my suggestion is, assuming that you can get the invite, you can get into um, the range day. My suggestion is to go, probably Monday and Tuesday, maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. But you will quickly find if you go to SHOT Show that you need to be there all week, and it's probably a good idea to get there even a day early. That way you've got your travel, but you are able to get settled in and decompress before that range day, before the hectic week starts. Because if you're working the show, it's going to be long days, even longer nights sometimes. Um, and so very little sleep for a week. So being able to kind of relax for a day or so is pretty awesome. So Bullets for Bucks is joining us out there. Says I have a channel. I had a channel for like 3 or 4 years before I knew what SHOT was. A lot of folks do. I mean, that goes back to, and Bullet for Bucks may not have been here when we kicked things off, but that goes back to the creators out there. I see that they live on their own little freaking islands, and they're just not aware of the community, and they're just not aware of how the industry works. They're not aware of the community of other gun tubers and stuff that's out. They're just not aware of anything. They're creating their videos, they're uploading their videos, and they're walking away essentially, right? And what business, and I guess you have to be kind of looking at your channel as a business, but what business is doesn't go to trade shows, right? Doesn't pay attention to their colleagues, to their competition, to their whatever, right? Or I guess whatever career would be more like it, right? If you were a scientist, for example, you're going to be paying attention to other scientists and so forth and so on. Milsurp Duo out there says we're getting there Saturday before and not leaving until Sunday since we're going to the Antiques Arms Show. I have been to the Antiques Arms Show. If you can swing that, um, that's pretty cool. I think to go to at least once. Personally, I wasn't terribly impressed with it. But I'm glad I at least went once because it's kind of like going to Dragon Man's or, you know, Bannerman Castle. Several things that you can go check out that's out there. It's worth going, if nothing else, just to say that you've been. And I was hounded for a long time. The fact that we never really stayed long enough to go to the Antique Arms Show, and we did. And so now I can say I went, and it's like, I got no. The problem is we just got back from Tulsa, the largest gun show in the world, and then you go to something like the Antiques Arms Show, and you're wanting to compare it to Tulsa, which is a completely separate animal. It is the Antiques Arms Show. So if you're into old stuff, and I assume Milsurp Duo probably is, but if you're into all the stuff, then you probably would enjoy it, but far more than I. But um, yeah, it was interesting. Great point though, Milsurp, on getting there early, staying late. Yeah, the plan. We've gotten in on Saturday many times before, so that we've got all day, pretty much Sunday, to relax. There's a pretty big Army Navy store there too, by the way, if you're looking for things to do before shot starts, and you can go check that out. G Webs would know. I forget the name of it. Um, but and then we're going to leave out on Saturday. Last year, typically as soon as the show was over on Friday, which is what, 4 or 5 o'clock, I don't recall exactly. Typically we would bug out at then, and our goal was to, because we drive, our goal would be to get out of Vegas just as soon as the show is over, and get back to Flagstaff on the way back, get that far to spend the night. And after, all day Friday on the floor and then all week of shot, that's a little hectic. Last year, because of a series of events that happened, we actually had a company put us up in a room because we ended up having to stay way later. We couldn't leave when the show was over. Um, we were there at least a couple of hours after that, so it was gonna be super late and just a pain in the rear. And there was a company that put us up in a room Friday night so that we could leave Saturday morning. And then that again, that's what allowed us to go to that antique arm show, by the way. And um, man, it was just so nice being able to get up the next morning and you're not rushed, you're not tired. Oh, you're tired, but not the same kind of tired, right? Um, and then be able to head back. So that's the plan this year, and moving forward is not only to get there, continue to get there the Saturday before, but not leave out until the Saturday after. Um, and I'll tell you, if you're driving, here's another kind of a pro tip in a way. And definitely throw out, by the way, your questions if you have questions or whatever. I know we've got to get onto that prep list part. I'm just kind of vamping on my experiences of SHOT Show right now, but was kind of hanging around to see if G was going to make it up. If we hit half hour or so and G's not here, then we'll go ahead and we'll start trying to talking prep list and some of the things that I think are important. Until then, we'll just kind of vamp in the general. But one of the things about leaving out, uh, not staying for the entire show, and this is particularly true if you're driving to the event. If you are, if you're flying, then really it's not going to make a lot of difference. But if you're driving, if you have the capability and whatever to bring stuff home, um, you can take some stuff home usually. um, with the companies that you've talked with. Obviously, you can't take firearms home. You can't do like anything of that nature. All the firearms are disabled and shot, blah, blah, blah. But, last year is a great example. There's several companies that every year I'm able to go by their booth the last day of shot in the evenings. And, you know, I can take home targets and different accessories and other stuff. And then last year there was a pistol case that my wife really liked that pistol case from a company, and so I hit up that company. They were literally like dimming the lights at shot, and I walked by that booth, and I'm like, oh snap, I forgot my wife liked that case. So I stepped in that booth real quick, and I hadn't even talked with them the entire show. It was just something that my wife said she liked that pistol case, and so I stepped in the booth, and I said, hey, introduced myself real quick. I said, I know y'all are tearing down. I'm gonna give you the real quick version, right? I said, any chance I can grab that case right there, take that one home, do a video for you guys, blah 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 blah. And they were like, oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yep, here you go. And so that was kind of an interesting thing. Met up with my wife, um, after that, because she was kind of waiting on me actually, and I was already kind of late to meet up with her and the others. And then when I showed up, I had the pistol case for her. So that was kind of cool. So there are those opportunities if you stay for the entirety of the show as well. Milsurp Duo says we still doing breakfast each morning in the media center, Clover. Um, yeah, if you know me, I am all about my cereal. I do not eat. Rarely do I eat much cereal during the year. I try to stay as low carb as possible, and whole milk and grainy cereal is not low carb. And I love cereal. Evident if you've ever been in the media room with me during shot in the morning. So yeah, I will definitely be there eating cereal without a doubt. And then stowing away a couple of boxes probably for on the go for snacks later. So that is a thing for a lot of different creators. So from a creator's perspective, I'm glad Milsurp Duo brought that up. Utilize that media room, utilize that to network and meet with other creators, those opportunities to be able to sit down, to have conversations, to war game. You would be really, if you start doing that, you would be really amazed, I think, at the opportunities that open up with um, with the networking aspect of the media room. It's pretty busy. The media room is in the mornings, understandably, and so it's a little bit louder, and it may be a little more congested and things like that. To be able to have certain conversations and stuff like that, but there's definitely kind of a rallying of the troops, and a like, it's kind of like the football team, you know, in the locker room, hands in, and the pep talk type thing. Um, Mornings at Shot Show are kind of that way. Mornings in the media room are kind of that way. Ghost is out there, Gizzard's out there, Jeff with Gear Report is out there, Milsurp Duo has been there, of course, Bullets for Bucks, uh, all those folks. She fires, not their first time, of course, with Shot Show, and so they understand kind of the dynamic with that. But it's pretty cool. But even during the day, I try to hit the media room about 3 to 4 times a day, at least morning time, around lunch, and closer to the end of the day. If I don't hit the media room a couple more times in between somewhere. And the reason is you never know when, who you're going to run into and some of the conversations. And you may run into somebody, you may have a conversation, and it goes something like, hey, man, how are you, man? It's good to see you. Oh, man, are you crushing it? Yeah, man, I did this and blah, blah, blah. Oh, you know what? I talked to this company down there, and, your channel, your whatever, blah, 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 may be a good fit for this, right? And then so you can get some leads, I guess, or some tips simply by working the media room. So, you know, um, we've got, Jeff says if you need somebody to talk to, send him a link. We may do that, Jeff. Hang tight. Stand by for the standby, and I may do that. I kind of took over this for those that are coming in late. G-Webs, there's been many times where I wasn't able to make it on a Tuesday morning, and G-Webs went without me. And since I have the power, um, that's G-Web's fault for giving me the power. But since I have the power, I thought, you know what, I'm going to go live with this and run with it. And I don't know. He hopefully he's okay. Probably just lost track of time. If you're not aware, G's in Arizona, and Arizona has weird time zones and everything else. They don't observe daylight savings, so when all that happens, um, it screws them up in a totally different way than it screws us up. But yeah, Gizzard out there, he says, I haven't had cold syrup in several months, but I love it too. Yeah, love it, and various kinds. I'm not even a stickler on what. Uh, I'll eat anything from Raisin Bran, which is god awful for some people, all the way to the most sugary of sugary stuff. I'm trying to think what that would be. Even Frosted Flakes, maybe you don't get much sugary than that. Gizzard says the media room is a great place to network with other creators who are doing the same thing as you, almost as valuable as networking with companies on the floor. So, yeah, it is, and I'll tell you another spot. You're going to call me crazy. Is the smoking area. So, Ghost out there says he's got a few minutes if he wants to do that too. So, yeah, I've got to figure out a way. Let me grab the. I'm going to grab the link here, and then I got to figure out a way to get it to you guys easily while I'm talking here. So that may be on the. Maybe on the IG. I tell you what I can do. I can throw this in the Gilded, and then Ghost I can throw maybe into the IG. So stand by for the standby. And hopefully I can let you folks in. Ghost, you got it coming on the IG, by the way, buddy. So yeah, bring some folks in here so y'all can vamp a little bit and take some of the load off me. Since we've got some experience with SHOT Show, and we're going to talk about the prep list here. I don't know, probably in another 7 or 8 minutes or so. But yeah, getting there. Just a couple of the insider tactics. Um, as we're talking about it, some of the things, not necessarily specific items on the prep list, but something that we, need to be considering as far as prep, is you're talking about, desert weather. So you're talking about if you come from a really humid environment, I have a problem with getting severely dried out. And my sinuses absolutely will kill me. So you've got that overall thing going. Tends to be a little bit windy out there. Have gotten windburn a few years, so you want to prepare for things like that. If you go to range day, cold in the mornings, warming up in the evenings. So layers is important for range day. Um, for SHOT Show, a lot of walking. So be mindful of the things that you're toting around and that sort of thing. Just be prepared, whether it's comfortable shoes or whatever the case may be for that. Um, and then, be prepared for very little sleep if you're doing accidents and parties and things of that nature. So, um, we've got Milar Duo says, I look forward to SHOT Show each year. Love seeing friends every year. Love seeing what's new. And with our podcast each year, we keep getting better and better on the videos. Yeah, SHOT Show for me is definitely the most fun week of the year, the best week of the year. It's also the most grueling and like tiresome week of the year. It's one of those double-edged sword situations for sure. So I've got Jeff and Ghost in the back. Let's get them. Let's get them in here. We'll bring them in. Why not? So we got Jeff with the Gear Report in the house. What's up, bro?
Greetings.
Hey. And then we got Ghost, the Ghostess with the mostest. What's happening, man?
I'm just here for the free cookies, man. Thanks for having me.
We got cereal. We don't have cookies.
Oh,
Sorry.
I wonder where those cookies went.
Well,
Well,
can we get the cookie cereal? I'm down
we've
with that.
got we've got Cookie Crisp. If that'll work, we've got Cookie Crisp. Yes.
That'll work.
Li-
That'll be fine.
Listen, hey, I know you have flexed before requesting specific cereals in the media room at SHOT Show. I
Yeah.
think you need to request Cookie Crisp.
Yeah. Could. I don't know that they make Cookie Crisp in those small boxes, and so that's part of the issue. Is I would have to get on Amazon or somewhere and see if they do that. But I don't think they do. I don't know that I've ever seen Cookie Crisp in a small box. So
That's
um,
not a requirement for me. I'll eat it out of big boxes, small
I
boxes,
I
bags,
understand that's not a requirement for
dispensers.
you, but I think that's a requirement for the venue. Unfortunately, what
Oh,
I'm saying.
Oh,
So
I could definitely see Clover walking up and just grabbing the whole big box and walking away. 100%.
I would stuff it in my bag. That's snacks for later. Absolutely. So before we get into actual the list of like items and things for prep, since I've been vamping a little bit on my shot experience, I'll open it up to both of you. And by the way, if you're out there in the live chat, again, thanks for joining. If you're in replay, thanks for joining. And if you got questions or whatever related to shot show and that sort of stuff, yeah, hit us up, put them out there. Jeff, since you asked for the link first, I'll let you go first and just give us kind of like I've been vamping here. Give us your general overview about shot show and some of the 30,000 foot view strategies and tactics that you think that you use and things that you think newbies to shot, maybe not even a first timer, but somebody that's been and maybe they're just trying to hone their approach to shot. What are some things they should be looking out for?
Oh man, that's a tough one. You've hit on my weakness, and that is having a good strategy and plan before I get to shot show. Jose Juan or TJ would both tell you. Both of those guys have went to multiple shot shows with Gear Report with me, and they would tell you that it is not unusual that as we are walking to the venue on any given day, I'm like, okay, let's figure out what we're doing. So first and foremost, have some goals in place before you get there. And that's not to say that I didn't have goals in place. Of course I did. But, you get there and things can happen quickly at SHOT Show. One discussion in the media room at breakfast, sitting around the table, can completely change your plan for the day, for the week, for the whole time there. So,
Yeah, can.
definitely take advantage of that opportunity because you're spending time with people that you don't get to see up close and personal very often. So to me, I guess when we look at the like big picture, figure out what your goal is. Are you looking for sponsors? Are you looking for product review? Are you looking to shoot video? So you want to, I know, since G's not here, he's like one of the godfathers of video at SHOT Show. Do you have a goal of putting out X number of videos per day? What your goal is, what you want to come out of SHOT Show is, it really should dictate what you do while you're there. And that really, it's gonna determine everything that you do. Or at least if you're doing it with a plan. Now, when I have new people, I take a new person to shot. I generally will give them some task, but pretty much assume they're going to be useless for the first 2 or 3 days as they're wandering around just trying to figure out where they are. So
Oh yeah.
things you can do ahead of time. I heard you talk about good shoes. That's probably the most important thing. Next is going to be things you can do to familiarize yourself with the layout. So the SHOT Show website has got an interactive map where you can tag places you want to go to. You can get an app and put it on your phone, and it will show that map. And there are different ways you can list them. A couple different ways you can tag things so they show up on the map. I am a huge fan of doing some of that legwork ahead of time and knowing who I want to talk to, putting them on the map, and then I can get a visual representation of where everyone is, and I can block out my days geographically. Because the biggest learning that I had at my first SHOT Show was how big it is. You can look at the maps all day long and think, well, okay, if I do a meeting at 9:30 here and another meeting at 10 o'clock over at this other place, it's only going to take me 5 minutes. Well, no, that may take you 12 and a half minutes to get from one to the other. And now you're going to miss your second meeting. So the
Well, or even
scale,
worse, it may take you 30 minutes because you may get cornered or pulled aside or whatever because it's such a long stretch, right?
yep,
So who are you going to bump into, right?
yeah, yeah.
Are you going to walk by a booth with another company or, what will happen? So you've not only got the transit time from point A to point B, but because of that transit time, anything can happen in between. So absolutely leave yourself plenty of time between stuff.
Yeah, you can take the approach I did the first couple years that I went, and that was I had a calendar, I booked the mess out of everything. And I'd have a meeting every 15 to 20 to 30 minutes. I had days where like I eventually had to be like, all right, I may have to miss this meeting because I haven't peed yet today and I need to. Like I didn't have time for that. I was running all over the place. And I shot a lot of booth video. I got a lot of stuff published. I met a lot of brands. Not a lot of them went very far because it was just real quick discussion. Hey, how are you? And move on. And it was hard to follow up with so many afterwards that after a few years of that, I was like, you know what? I'm done with that. I'm going to casually walk around. So now we'll kind of geographically pick, hey, we know we want to see some brands that are downstairs in the kind of on the west side of that, the dungeon. So we're just going to, we know some brands we want to see down there. I'm just going to go wander that area for the morning. I don't have meetings scheduled. I know who I need to see, and I'm going to stop by and try and catch them. And if I don't catch them in the booth, whatever,
Yeah.
I'd rather catch them at a social outing, in the evening
Yeah. 100%.
anyway, have a better
Yeah.
conversation than in a booth where everyone goes brain dead after about a half hour of saying the same shit over and over and over. So,
Right.
so I think that's probably the first thing is I used to be very schedule driven, book meetings and everything. Now I wander. And part of that is what you said, the chance encounters, and it could be with people or it could be with products and brands. It can be like
Yeah.
I'm between meeting A and meeting B, and I walk by something and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. I gotta see that, but I don't have time right
Yep.
now.
Yep.
So I want time and I may not find it again because
Yeah,
I got a
this is
good
true.
sense of
Yeah, or
direction, but I
forget
get lost
because you got so
sometimes.
much going, right?
Right.
Like hey man, I'll come back and check this out, and then you never do, and then you realize it when you get home. You're like, oh snap, there was
Yeah.
this thing, and I completely forgot.
Yeah,
Um,
when they dim the lights on Friday, with the trying to chase people out, that's when 27 things will pop into my head like, "Oh, no,
yeah,
I didn't go back and see."
right,
Start listing all the people off. Yeah.
right. Talking about the nightlife stuff and Ghost, get ready on deck. We're gonna bring you in. Milar Duo says we should do a big group event one night. Maybe I'll grab dinner or something. So historically, we have done that in the past, Milsurp. For many of us, that is getting more and more and more difficult to do because our nightlife, as you meet more people, as you increase your contacts, as you build those relationships, as I was talking about earlier in the show, your nightlife fills up quicker and quicker and quicker. And so it's quickly getting to the point that I don't know that I have any free time in the evenings to do that, unfortunately. So the best thing in that situation would be for all of us to get together with certain events and all of us make sure that we're at the same event basically. And both Jeff and Ghost and I have been able to accomplish that over the years where at least Ghost and I room together and split rooms, so that's not a deal. But with Jeff anyway, every year there's at least one or two after events that Jeff is there, and the Gear Report guys. So Ghost, bring you in your kind of overview real quick before we get to the prep list. Just things to look out for, whether it's a first timer or somebody just looking to improve their strategy.
I mean, I agree with everything that's been said so far, but I take it probably a little bit further for those that are first timers. Right after Thanksgiving, so basically like the Monday after Thanksgiving, I take my exercise regimen away. I do a boxing workout, if you will, bag work, jump rope, stuff like that. And I'll transition that the Monday after Thanksgiving all the way up to shot to where it's more calisthenics. I can't
Yeah.
run because of my knees, but I will get on an exercise bike and ride for at least an hour, hour and a half a day. For another reason, be able just to get my heart rate up and get everything going, get in better shape. And then December 1st, it's a whole 6 weeks regimen. I take specific vitamins, supplements, and all of that to
Mhm.
prepare for the SHOT Show crud. I
Yep.
have been, knock on wood, I have been incredibly lucky to never get sick after SHOT. And I think a lot of it's because I'm in
That's
decent
not.
shape, but I also take a lot of supplements and all of that. So prepare your bodies for SHOT Show. It's not just the while you're there. It's a month, 6 weeks prep time to get your body ready for walking all the way up to 12, 13 miles per day. I think I averaged last year like 11.3 miles a day walking. And then obviously you're going to have 80,000 people there from all over the world bringing whatever the heck they are bringing from their countries and their towns and their schools and their homes with you to being mentally prepared and being prepared to do the job is great, but physically you've also got to be prepared for what SHOT Show brings to you as well.
Well, and with the boxing training thing, I mean, let's be honest. You're looking to get invited to fight Mike Tyson at some point there in Vegas, right?
I mean,
So you got to
I
be
am
ready.
in Vegas, and I'm one of those guys that say if you were paid $10 million, would you get in the ring with Tyson? Absolutely. Whether he hits me or not, the first swing, I'm out. I'm laying down on the ground, probably in
Right.
the fetal position, crying, and I'm going to get paid. Now, if I do get hit, I expect to
Right.
be about $1 million worth of damage. So I'm still walking away okay. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Just the wind probably off of one of his punches, if even if he doesn't hit you, would probably knock you to the ground.
Oh,
So
I would definitely be concussed for sure, no doubt about it.
right.
Absolutely.
Right. Now, you know what Jeff was kind of echoing there. Jeff said earlier, I know you had an echo. I know your first year, and I've never really went heavy into the scheduling, but I know your first year was a little bit disappointing in a way. It was still Shot Show week, still the best week of the year, but
Yeah,
a
for
little bit
sure.
disappointing from kind of the same type of approach, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it was 22 or 27, but I scheduled 20 something interviews, meetings, and all of that Tuesday through. Well, as a matter of fact, it was Tuesday through Thursday afternoon my first year because I flew out Thursday evening. So I didn't even go Friday. Um, and the very next year, I committed to myself that was an absolute mistake because I remember getting on the flight home that first year and was like, that was a fun week, but I didn't see anything that I really wanted to see because I had scheduled so many meetings and so many appointments that I didn't take the time for me to actually enjoy shot. Did I enjoy my time there? 100%, absolutely. But I didn't get to enjoy the full aspect of shot. And since then, I schedule about three or four, and those are the companies that I work heavily with. Now I will go and do a lot of different things. You have to be fluid because you're going to find out about companies that you've never heard of, and you're going to meet people at different places, and you're going to want to go have a talk with them. But setting appointments ahead of time for me is an absolute huge mistake because you're already pigeonholing yourself into a position not to be able to be fluid and be able to do what you need. So I would suggest um, not scheduling appointments except for maybe the two or three or four that you're going to that you're working with sponsors or whatever it is that you're going to have, and the rest of it leave open. Like almost be. I mean, we say the word fluid all the time, but almost be like a man without a cause. It's like I'm just going to go and
Right.
walk. I'm going to meet these people. I'm going to see these products. And if I see something, I have time to stop for 5 or 10 minutes because I don't have to
Yep.
run to the next appointment. So, yeah, I'm not
Mhm.
saying don't schedule them. Maybe if you're a smaller company channel or this is your first time there and you don't know anybody in the industry, sure, take those swings and go talk to people. If you've been there more than once or twice, I think quickly you'll understand that not necessarily the greatest. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not the greatest way to approach shot. But everyone's their own. Everyone enjoys certain things. I have had so much more fun the last probably 4 or 5 years simply just because I'm not putting myself behind the eight ball with 20 something appointments.
Yeah. Rifleman out there says 11 miles a day, and you won't see everything. And I think that's what Ghost is saying there to an extent. And I agree with it that you need to be prepared going into this that you're not going to see everything, but there's also ways that you can maximize, and one of the ways that I do that, uh, and this kind of can transition a little bit into the preparation into the prep list. One of the ways I do that is by looking at the exhibitor list, and I make a tiered system. Try to keep it around 100 entries or 100 companies at max, which is pretty easy to do. There's many that's a shot, but I've got the ones that I have good relationships with. Those are the ones that they need to continue to see me, at least see me at a show. Now we have good relationships. We don't got to talk business. We don't, that's just a hey, say hi, BS for a little bit. We're out, right? Maybe shoot a video, quick video for them if they want something like that done. Just because, again, we have a good relationship, and I'm willing to do that. And then you've got, okay, these are some companies that I'm familiar with their products and stuff. I'd really like to work more with them, so I need to kind of spend some time with these. And then it kind of goes the level of urgency dwindles a little bit, is what I'm saying, as I put that list together. So I list the companies and then I'll organize them. But then, as Ghost was saying, every single night you start marking things off that list, and the list will evolve. And the reason the list will evolve is because Jeff will have at some point during the day, you need to go check out this company. I think it aligns with what you're doing really well. Or Ghost will say, something of that nature or whatever, right? And so, you got to kick something off the list to add something to the list, and so that fluidity definitely needs to be there. Um, as far as prep list, let's go down the gear road. Um, and I'll bring I'll give my little overview on it first, and then we'll bring Ghost in, and then follow up with Jeff. But I there was something that has been in the back of my mind for a while, which is when we're talking about gear. And for everybody, it's different because it's like, what are you trying to accomplish at shot? But for me, a minimalistic approach is where I'm going to go in 24, as minimal as I can possibly get. And one of those is going to be downsizing my bag. I typically take a big bag. I will get most of the stuff, take out of it, and I will leave that in a booth. There is also like a coat check type thing that you can uh, that you can do. And so what I have done in the past is get like one of the freebie bags, check that freebie bag, and then go back to the coat check and offload things, right? Whether that's swag or whether that's gear I don't need immediately or whatever, into those. As you build those relationships, you can stage that on the floor, which is super handy because you don't got to go all the way out and find a coat check place. It's actually, even though the floors, there's what, 3 floors, 4 floors, or whatever, 5, I don't even know. It's a huge thing. But either way, it's kind of there within the show and stage there. So it makes it a little bit easier. But even at that, you're still dealing with, a big bag and potentially a lot of stuff. So I'm going to downsize, with going with a bag, maybe half, if that, as big as the bag that I would normally take. It's big enough to hold, uh, my extra cell phone, my stuff to smoke, the flashlight, a pocket knife, just in case. Um, the microphones, obviously, being small, it's not going to hold a tripod, but, um, again, I can stage that or whatever. But yeah, just a little sling pack or something like that. Because I'm not going to be doing it, and the videos I'm going to be doing, the way that I do that is I'll schedule those out, right? I'll be like, I'll walk by the booth and I'll say, hey, want to do a video? How about we do it tomorrow at this time? And I may knock 2 videos out a day or something like that. And I kind of know ahead of time. Hey, grab my tripod, go do these 2 videos. Bam, bam. Go put the tripod up. Finish out the rest of the day. And I'm minimalistic. But as far as gear goes, bring you in first. What's your gear loadout? The way you're going to carry it? Any thoughts on that for 24? Anything that's different, I guess, in 24?
Oh, it's going to be completely different. I am bringing a cell phone, my wireless. Now, thanks to you, I have now 2 sets of different brands, Sarmonic and then a Boya. Try them out, figure out which one I'll use. One as a main and one as a backup. Anyways, I'm bringing my microphones, my camera, a battery pack, cables, and that's it. I'll bring a tripod, but I will stage that at a booth, and for like the 3 or 4 that I need it for the week. And other than that, it will stay in that booth. But I'm not even taking a backpack. I will probably end up with some sort of a sling pack. Like you said, to minimalize everything, the weight. Once again, you're walking 11, 12 miles a day, and every ounce on your back um, goes to a pound in your lower back, and you'd be surprised at how much just an extra bottle of water or something will weigh you down over time. So I'm going very minimalistic. I'm going my camera, I'm going my microphones, and a battery pack charger just in case, and that's it basically.
Yeah, I didn't think about the battery pack, but yeah, definitely gonna have to slide, one of those in there for just in case basis. And I've gotten several that we can try out. Um, Jeff is in a little bit different situation because Jeff has TJ the Pack Mule.
He's got the
Um,
pack mule. He's lucky.
yeah. So as far as you and your gear loadout, anything different this year you're doing, Jeff? I know you've evolved that over the years, but anything different that you guys are doing as far as all of that this year?
Good question. A little early for me to make a decision about something as basic as that. But I'll tell you where I'm leaning right now is going to be similar to last year, where I carried duplicate cell phones. So I had one that was basically a communications device, and I
Right.
had one, and they're both the same. They're iPhone XRs. Um, One that I just used for photos and video, and that's all I took most of the time. I think I carried my DSLR. Did I carry it? I think maybe I carried that to range day as well as the DJI gimbal, 4K gimbal camera. Um, and I think, like, I used what I took once or twice, and I remember thinking to myself, "I'm carrying this sucker. I am definitely gonna use it." But if I didn't have it, I would have just used the phone and everything would have been fine. So I
Yep.
think that I have gotten to the point where, like, my gimbal camera is a little bulky. I don't, and it's not just bulky, it's awkward. The shape, and it doesn't have like a lanyard or something where I can hang it from my neck. Like, I have to hold on to it. And it- I'm not carrying that anymore. Like, I'm debating, do I want to get one of the new DJI's got like an Osmo 3. It's a little tiny gimbal camera that'll just fit in a pocket. Like, if I get something, it'll be that. And I use the Saramonic. Um, I have probably 8 or 10 different little wireless mic kits, and the one that I use the most is the cheapest one I have. I think the Saramonic. What is this called? It's the Blink Go,
Blink. Yeah, those are
and
amazing.
yeah, I mean, seriously. And when I realized it had a noise canceling feature on it, like, it's only got one button. Like, I was happened to look at the manual because someone asked me a question, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, this has noise canceling, and it works
Yep.
great." So, between that and an iPhone, I can shoot booth video if I want. If I have like a little tripod or something, I could even set it aside. Like, I could set it up without having a second person with me and shoot a booth video if I wanted. I honestly haven't shot much booth video in the last several years, which is interesting because when I started doing it, that's what I did the first few years at Shot. Was I was shooting a ton of booth video, and I didn't have a good microphone, and the audio was garbage. And I ended up losing 20-30% of those videos just because the audio was not salvageable. So now that I have the technology to make it light and quick and easy to do the booth videos, I've kind of stopped doing them. And I can't decide if I want to do any more. But so that's where the gear really comes in. Like, what do you need? I wonder if I can
Well,
see.
need and want are
Yeah.
two different conversations because how many times have we seen, especially people first or second year, carrying these incredible monstrosities of gear setups, and
Yeah.
by Wednesday they're going, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So need is a cell phone, and everything else after that, the cell phone and a microphone. Want is other that, but
Yeah.
I think people realize want gets trumped by need pretty quickly.
Yeah. So I've got this little sling bag that it just goes over one shoulder. And when I'm standing talking to someone, I don't have to take it off and swing it around. I can just pull it down under like this and open it and get to my gear. So I'll typically have, if I'm
Yep.
carrying camera gear, I'll have it in here, but I'll have like a notepad, a water bottle, a camera, a lens, some batteries, battery packs, charging cables. That's the kind of thing. I carried a backpack for a while. Oh my goodness. Jose Juan would carry this massive backpack, and
Yeah.
it's sitting on his back. So whenever he turns around, he's banging into people, right?
Yep.
So
That's
that is
about the
something that I'll
size.
definitely tell people. What's
Yeah.
that?
That's about the size what you had there. That's about the size of what I'm going to go with this year. Maybe even just a tad smaller than that.
That's
But
if I
yeah,
carry it at all.
yeah,
I will have that in my suitcase and available to carry. You'll see me wearing that at range day probably.
well,
When we get to the SHOT Show floor, I wear cargo pants, and I
yeah,
have trimmed down where I have a slim USB battery pack that has a built-in cable, and I think I still have one that will do wireless charging, so I don't even have to have a cable. Because I'll tell you what, first few years, I would go through 2 or 3 charging cables in that week because taking it in and out of my pocket, the battery on my phone didn't work it wasn't very robust, so I had to charge it all the time, and the cables would get ruined. So when you're thinking about gear, think about what is critical. What do you have to function?
well,
How are you going to have backups for that?
And
and
having multiple
wireless,
cables also, because someone inevitably is going to lose theirs, or theirs is going to break, and he's like,
yeah.
"Hey, I need a cable. Here, I've got one. Boom, and you're ready to go."
Yeah.
Wireless charging power banks are nice.
Yeah.
I would say that keep in mind, since we are talking about prep here, some of the thicker rubber bands, having 3 or 4 of those,
Mm,
and then what you can do is you can rubber band your phone to that deal, and then just throw it in a pocket in your bag,
yeah.
and you're good to go. I mean, it's going to hold it tight to your phone. That way, if it bounces around in the bag a little bit, whatever. Because that's the only drawback to a wireless charger is it's got to stay in a certain spot on there. So, now if you do have the magnetic capability and whatever, I don't, but I know that some phones and some chargers, wireless chargers, have that. Then you may not have to worry about it, quite so much. Um, I want to shift a little bit here, because you brought something up, and it kind of relates to a thing I wanted to talk about before we get out of here. And I don't want to go terribly long with this since I'm the one running the show because it's just not my style. But you talked about the cargo pant thing, and I think a lot of creators, that is, we're at SHOT Show. It's the land of cargo pants. And so that makes sense. I have, and I'm not going to get into it a lot right now, but I have moved a little bit away from that style of dress for some specific purposes. And so having a bag to be able to put my gear in, let's be honest, it's basically a purse because of the way I dress, right? Um, is important. And so, what I wanted to shift gears, and Jeff, we'll kick this one off with you. We're going to bring Gizzard in here in a second, but um, kicked off the show, and I was kind of
Lizard?
ranting. Yeah, he's waiting
Oh,
in
I
the
thought you were
wings back
talking
there.
about me. It's like, I'm a different person, but okay, cool.
No, he's waiting in the back. We're gonna get him. I was just saying that so he knows I know he's out. He's back there, but so as far as I was ranting about the people that, I can't make the shot, or I can't go to shot, and how do you do this with this company and that company? And I know, Jeff, I know you've evolved with that too. I'm huge about the whole relationship aspect, and I know you've kind of evolved in that sense too. Is there anything as far as preparation, as far as gear, as far as the way you dress, as far as whatever the case may be? Um, is there anything that plays into any tactics, any tips, whatever, as far as helping to, when you walk into that booth, you go to SHOT Show, you walk into that booth, helping to establish those relationships? Any tips in that area?
But you said like gear wise, or
Well,
well,
I mean,
okay.
whatever it might be, right? It could be
I'm going to show you something
multiple things.
here that you already saw. TJ had this shirt made. He had a number of shirts made. So I'd wear t-shirts for a while. For many years, I had Gear Report t-shirts. TJ upgraded us to the golf shirt. We got some button-down shirts with embroidered logos. So we're trying to do some things like that that are aimed at some more, I don't want to call it in your face branding, but when we walk into a booth,
Mhm.
we're not, I don't want to say this and have it sound weird. Because I know
Just say
Clover,
it.
for example, is taking a markedly different approach, and he has strategic reasons behind that. We are strategically trying to dress a little better to present more of a professional image. You know, And
Right.
that's something that's evolved over time. And if you're going to do that, you need to think ahead to order your branded stuff. Like
Right.
Clover and I were talking a couple days ago. Ghost has got some patches for Shot. Clover's got some patches for Shot. I'm talking to some brands about getting some new patches made for Shot. Those are things you have to do ahead of time, like from a gear perspective, so that when you show up, you don't look like a fly by night. Oh yeah, I created an Instagram 2 weeks ago and they approved me. I have 23 followers on Instagram. I've posted 7 things and they let me come as media. You don't want to be that guy, right? You want to have some things that when you walk in, the higher ups in a booth notice, like you want the boss in the booth directing their more important people to come talk to you because you look like you're one of the legit people.
I mean, and that makes sense, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think I ran G off when I said that. He was like, "Screw that," he left.
I don't know. He's been like bumping in and out. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
Um, outside of the dress though, the approach of being able to forge that relationship. That's what I'm saying. Being
So
able to kick that off to start that off.
yeah, right,
Knowing,
like
things
strategy
like
types.
knowing the product line, things about, I don't know. I can think of a
A little
lot of
bit.
different things.
So
I didn't want to monopolize that part of the
yeah.
conversation. Is all.
Well, you gotta have your kinda elevator pitch ready, so know what you offer, know what your value is, or at least what you think your value is, know the scope of what you can offer people. I mean, don't just assume, not everyone is Gizzard Gary and they show up in a booth and they're like, "Oh my god, get the president over here. We've got internet royalty here to speak with you." And they know that like he will sell their knives. Like all he has to do is do a video and people will beat their door down to buy their knives. Okay. They don't know that about me. They don't know what Gear Report does. So I've got to be prepared to give them not a list of what we do, but a list of how I can help them. So that's the first thing I would tell you is understand what your value is, not to you, not to the audience, to the brands. What are you going to do for them? And have a super efficient, quick, practiced way to explain that to them as part of your introduction. Hey, I'm Jeff from Gear Report. We're going to help you connect with the right customers by informing them about your products. Oh, I think I offended him. Yeah. So anyhow, whatever your pitch is, whatever it is you're offering, be prepared to talk about that. And something, since he's gone, I can talk about whatever I want now. I wanted to be sure to mention that something we hear every year is someone is like, "Well, I've never been to Shot. I'm going to try it," and they go for just a couple days. Every single time we hear afterwards, they're like, "Why'd I leave early? Like, I can't believe I'm never gonna leave early again. I'm gonna stay the whole time. I'm gonna stay the whole week." So, if you're gonna go through that hassle and expense, please make sure that you have a plan to be there for the entire time, because otherwise you're gonna feel like you cheated yourself by leaving early.
Well, in the first place, I don't think you can get everything done in 1 or 2 days.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
a lot of times you want to schedule a particular company, say for an interview or for some time with them or something like that. Well, they're full up or Tuesday and Wednesday, but they have time for you Thursday afternoon. Well, you take what they can give you and you make use of that time. Uh, so, and a lot of times Friday morning can be one of the most valuable days of the show if you can, happen upon a booth that isn't as busy as they were the rest of the week and they all of a sudden do have time for you and stuff like that. So,
Dude, and
and
Friday afternoons also.
yeah, make yourself flexible, make yourself available to work within their schedule, and you'll find that you can get a toe into these doors sometimes.
Sure, sure. So I'm the guy that is always getting chased out by security at the end of the day on Friday, every time. Because, hey, I'm paying to be there. I'm taking the hassle of flying almost entirely across the country from North Carolina to Vegas. I am gonna stay and talk to every person that I can. And last year, I ended up helping a brand take their boot down, and, I think that, it wouldn't surprise me if this coming shot that TJ and I find ourselves on the floor helping people set up booths and taking down after, just because we're there to build relationships. And, our value isn't in the physical labor we can provide. It's in kind of the solidarity of, hey, I want to help your brand succeed. That's the message that I want to get across to the brands when we're talking to people there. Gary, did you notice that we both joined this program to help fill in some space, and now it's just us?
We are the space.
We are. Yeah. So since we have control here, sort of, I want to say hi to DJ Play Nice. And I got to call out. I saw him. I watch a guy in the guitar space, Phil McKnight, does a live every Friday. And I saw him do like a super chat or something, ask a question a week or so ago. And I was like, look at that. I know him. It was kind of funny because, he's someone I know from the firearm space. And this was in another area. It's neat when you find overlap of people, and we get that sometimes. A lot of the people here, Clover does cards, for example. Ghost does golf stuff. So we've got people doing multiple things. It's neat when you find some overlap there.
Yeah, it's amazing the 6 degrees of separation in this industry. This person because a little bit about them, but they know somebody, all of a sudden it's
Yeah.
like, hey, we have more in common than I knew.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of stuff. Want to say hi to Chris from the 740 out there.
Yeah. Excellent. So I'm not sure, they typically shut this down at 1 hour. None of the people who have control to be able to do that are here. So I'm going to assume that we need to keep talking until one of them is able to log in and shut the program down. You think, Gary?
Yeah, it sounds like to me somebody may be coming here in a second. So basically, we're being told whenever we're ready to shut down. So I kind of come on here late. Is there anything I missed that I need to fill in on or anything?
SHOT Show and the whole idea, especially for people who are new or kind of getting into going to SHOT Show. Is there any feedback, any tips you want to give people before we check out?
I think to have the mindset of what SHOT Show is for. I mean, the first year you're there, maybe the first few hours is you take everything in, and it's kind of like you stand in awe for a while. Wow, look at the size of this. Look at all the people who are here. And then after you get your feet wet and talk to a couple people, you realize all the opportunities that are out there. And you have to utilize the resources that are out there, the directories, for example, maybe the emails you get from individual companies. Find the areas you are interested in. You can't see everybody. That's impossible, but that's really not the point of the show. Everybody's got their particular niche that they fit into, I believe.
Yeah.
And you find those people out, and especially don't ignore the what we call the dungeon down in the basement floor of the facility where the newer companies are. There are so many opportunities.
What do they call the other one? The Caesar Caesar's Forum?
Caesars, yes.
Yeah, that especially the first year of Caesar's Forum. This will be the third year coming up of having the additional space across the bridge over in the Caesar's Forum. The first year, those brands were starving to talk to people because a lot of people just didn't cross the bridge and go over there. So understand that there are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 major sections plus smaller sections to SHOT Show. Last year, TJ and I didn't make it to the law enforcement military rooms at all. That's the first time we had made it down there. It's a whole section of SHOT Show, 2 floors that have multiple rooms that we didn't go in at all. We just ran out of time. So,
oh yeah, there is so much to see, and those new companies, you'll see them as new companies, and then a couple of years later, maybe they'll be on the main floor. I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
And you could be there from the beginning, and kind of find out not only what's going on with the mainstream part of your industry, but maybe what's coming. What will be the future. So
sure. So let's answer these couple of questions are here.
Sure.
So for DJ Play Nice's immediate question there, G-Webs is backstage with his finger on the button ready to shut it down when we tell him to. But he's having connectivity issues and can't join the show proper. So is a gimbal worth it? Personally, I have, what is it? A DJI Osmo Plus. So it's the larger format, like a pistol grip with a moving gimbal on top. Pretty bulky, pretty big, takes specific batteries. It is, it takes great video. I can hook it up with a shotgun mic or a remote mic. I got a lot of different options on how to use it, and it's amazing. But it's big and bulky, and batteries can be a hassle, especially if they're hard to charge. If you have a device that you can charge from a USB battery pack when you put it in your bag or your pocket, then that's good. If it takes a special, like the gimbal I have, you have to plug into a wall outlet to charge it. That doesn't work on the show floor at all. So think about what you're going to be doing. Light, small, and fast is the way to go. And it depends on what your goal is, what kind of footage you want to collect. Gimbals are great if you're doing a lot of movement. If your camera isn't going to be moving a lot, if you're doing booth videos, you don't need a gimbal to do an interview in a booth. A cell phone will work just fine. Whereas several years ago, I was taking a DSLR camera and a big tripod and a shotgun mic or remote wired mics or remote wireless mics. It was a big setup. You can do that same thing with the little Saramonics mics and a cell phone today, and your quality is probably going to be better. And you don't have to worry about any of the additional hassles of carrying specialized equipment.
Now there are people who will carry, have special mounts for their cell phones that allow them maybe to have a few hot shoe attachments, such
Sure.
as a light or mics. Millsap Duo is asking about Ceramonic mics for cameras other than phones. I have
Yeah, I
used
do too.
Ceramonic mics. Right now, I've got something new. I've got the DJI mics that can be used on just about everything. Though I'm going to work those in this year. That's going to be new. But
I've heard good
ha-
things about those DJI mics.
having sometimes if you have a little bit of a rig, like I have something called a small rig, which is basically a little folding cell phone camera rig. And you basically snap in your cell phone, and then you've got 3 hot shoe attachments on there, plus a hot button built into it that you can shutter on and off without having to take your hands off the handle. What that does is allow you to hold your camera, hold your phone more steady. So you've got a little bit better handle on vertical, horizontal, and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
supplemental lighting sometimes, depending on the booth, is handy to have, but definitely good mics.
Yeah.
Dual mics if possible. So when you're talking to someone, they can hear you and they can hear the person you're interviewing. So
Yeah, SHOT Show has a lot of where people are handling things, so their hands are going to be full. I see video from other trade shows, like people going to CES and they're walking around holding a microphone up in people's faces. I've never seen that at SHOT Show. So plan on doing hands-free audio with the little clip-on lapel mics and the wireless ones are pretty easy to get, pretty cheap. The if anyone needs, I have extra brand new. I'm in a reviewer program where brands send me stuff. I have extra wireless microphones, nice, a couple different types of Saramonics and others. If anyone needs some, feel free to reach out. I'll give you a deal. I got them cheap. I can list them on Marketplace, put them on eBay, or sell them to someone in the community who's going to get some benefit out of them. So let me know if you need them. Jeff at gear-report.com, and I'll hook you up with those.
yeah, Chris from the 740 mentioning the new Osmo Pocket 3 that comes with the DJI Mic 2s, which aren't available separately right now.
So that would be really amazing. I've thought about picking that rig up to take to range day. That'd be really cool for range day. But walking around the show floor, there's actually a little bit of concern that G mentioned recently about some of the people who are on the floor may not want they may not want to show up in video. So you don't want to just do wandering around the show floor video, which I've done before. And it never crossed my mind that there could be some people who don't like that. So
Yeah, that's
maybe
absolutely the case.
doing some live outdoor movement stuff at range day. But I've held off on getting another gimbal because I just don't use it enough. And the image stabilization on cell phones is getting so good that I personally don't think I'm going to buy another gimbal. But
Yeah, I believe on range day this year, I'm going to be using the new GoPro Hero 12 uh,
yeah,
with the DJI mics. So we'll go with a little bit different setup, use the horizon lock and the image stabilization built into that to keep my shots steady. And hopefully everything will turn out good with that. So looking forward to trying out some new equipment this year, but keeping in mind, you're absolutely right when you talk about going lightweight, carry as little as you can to get by, but also keep in mind, and I found this at SHOT Show before, two is one is none. Have
yeah,
a backup
yeah.
available. I've got a
So
backup set of mics that are Ulanzis that are self-contained that I just stick in a pocket of my small backpack. And I have had my main mics either break or fail before, and you don't want to be done for the day.
oh yeah,
Y-
I had
You,
that happen. Very first interview at SHOT Show a couple years ago, and it was a big interview with a higher up at a big brand. Like not like most people who walked into that booth got pawned off on one of the little marketing interns, and I got one of the big guys and walk in, and my mics didn't work. And that sucked because trying to get audio on the show floor without mics, like, don't even try. It's terrible.
Another thing
So,
you can do, and it's very handy. Of course, I come with a group. You know this. I travel with the hens, so we have the capability of sharing equipment, and we've been known before. Hey, something of mine quit. Can somebody help me out with a backup? Or somebody got a little bit more battery. Mine's dead, and it helps to have friends on the floor who can come to your rescue on occasion. Uh, that's a handy thing to have if you work with a team. You can share resources and stuff like that. But
yep.
I don't know how much longer we should be staying on here. We probably ought to wrap this up, I
Yeah,
believe.
let's let them shut it down. And thanks everyone for being here. On behalf of Clover and G Webs, thanks for coming. They'll be back
Yes.
next week running the show. We
Thank,
assume.
thanks, everybody.